It's the Museum of Railroad, and I was trying to get inspired by the Railroad Museum, and I saw a map of the Middle East that prior to 1948 that just simply connected all regions together. There was a famous train called the Hejaz train that really was built by the French and then the Germans that really connected all the part of the Middle East. And one of the questions that I was asking myself, how is it possible that this part of the world is so disintegrated? And so what was a metaphor initially, the Levant Express, becomes something that became more reality. And one of the questions that I kept asking and was wondering is that how do we recreate it, really a railroad system, perhaps even that is powered by the sun, because there's a lot of sun in the Middle East, that could reconnect the states together, people together, and also offered employment, because those are mega infrastructural development that could exist. And so there are already ongoing projects like that in the Middle East, very small ones, so in Saudi Arabia, a little bit in Israel. The Jordanian could be a perfect land bridge because it could reconnect the whole Hejaz to Damascus, and from Damascus to Mafraq and Amman, and from Amman to Riyadh, and then from Amman to Baghdad. And so what was an idea as a metaphor is now becoming a real specific proposal to reconnected people who are suffering in great distress and need the very energy and intellectual insight of the giants of our past, like Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Drawing from Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Tennessee Valley Authority's New Deal policy, I've attempted to apply some of the insights of his positions in the United States and in foreign policy in the Middle East. And one of the arguments that I developed was how to develop infrastructural development policies in a region that suffer from lack of trade, that does not have railroad connection, that does not have any form of interconnections that could overcome the current sectarian warfare that we are seeing. FDR did not focus upon, but his wife did, Eleanor Roosevelt, and that is the freedom from sexual discrimination, which I think is an overdue argument that is always missing in foreign policy, and the position here being that we are seeing, both in the Arab uprising and even today in subterranean way, the resurgence of women activism in the Middle East, even in diverse places such as the Gulf country, as diverse as Tunisia. And the book suggested that there is sort of simmering cauldron that is under lead, and the women's activists will re-emerge and research in a powerful way. Part of it is because of the very variety of contradiction that exist after the Arab uprising. Women have been empowered, certainly in the digital sphere. They've been also repressed after the Arab uprising politically in this physical space. They've been empowered by reinterpreting the Quran, but they've been also repressed after the Arab uprising as a result of religious repressions and even secular repressions in different societies. They've been, in one way, more educated than they ever were in the past, but at the same time they have less economic opportunity than even women in sub-Saharan Africa. They have suffered a great deal of duress during wartime, during the Arab uprising, and currently remain vulnerable, not just because of war, but also in the domestic household. So this constitutes a pressure cooker, which I believe could become later on sort of like a female time bomb that might sort of re-energize the regions along all those lines of principles that I've been talking about. The Levant Express, the Arab Uprising and the Futures of Human Rights, is a book that really traces the Arab Uprising, which moved as a wildfire from the Maghreb to the Gulf Peninsula in 2011. And then, like a train, just moving very fast, it's also one that derailed. So I use that as a metaphor. And then the last part of my writing and the focus of my interest is to reroute the Levant Express into the future, into the next 25 years from now on, by focusing on the realm of possibilities. And so drawing on history and the policy that have worked in the past, I focus on the visions of FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in the speeches of 1941, when he speaks about 4 freedom principles, both for the domestic area and foreign policy. Those are freedom from speech, freedom from worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. I'm adding a 5th principle, and that is the freedom from sexual discrimination. And here what I attempted to do is to look at those lessons that work so well in, and were converted and work very well in the European context post-World War II, and try to find parallel as to what could be applicable to the Middle East should those same principles be adopted. And so I focus on a variety of things, that sort of broad digital deliberation as a way to overcome censorship that is currently existing in the Arab Middle East. I'm focusing also on how can we revive an Islamic enlightenment that used to exist in the past.